What's going on, you guys? Welcome back to 9 to 5 Golf. Quick shout out to you guys who supported that first video I posted. Close to 600 views just on the first week of posting, which I couldn't imagine. So really appreciate the support, and go ahead and like and subscribe if you guys want to follow the journey. In today's video, I'm going to show you a typical practice session that I would actually do at the driving range during the week, specifically my wedge distance control within 100 yards. Now, I actually use a stat tracking app called Arcos that keeps track of all of my strengths and weaknesses for every round of golf I play. And the cool thing about it is that it shows you the things in your game that you're doing best and the things in your game that you need to put more work into. So specifically for me, you'll see 25 to 50 yard short game, 50 to 100 yard approach play, which is what we're focusing on today, and then 0 to 10 foot putts, which I thought I was getting better at. So anyways, I'm gonna show you my practice session that I completed on Monday, where we really just focused on wedges. So let's get to it. All right, so for Monday's practice session, just start by getting warmed up, not really worrying about technique too much, just loosening up the body, doing some light stretches, and in this case, warming up to about a pitching wedge, because the majority of our practice was just gonna be with the wedge game, specifically inside of 100 yards, so no need to really warm up to a full driver. We'll do that on a different kind of practice day. And again, I like to have a practice routine written down on my notes app. That way I have something to follow and I'm not just kind of blindly hitting balls out there. So the first thing that we have on our practice routine is going to be slow rehearsal shots, 5 shots with each wedge. And basically what we're doing is taking about 30 seconds to 1 minute, really dialing in a certain swing feel. In this case, it's going to be a nice, perfect takeaway, as well as really just slowing down our transition feel. I tend to take the club inside really fast, as well as fire the hips really quickly and spin out. Really just working on taking our time each ball and really just trying to groove in this new swing feel. We'll do this about 5 times for each wedge and just rotate through all of them. So again, it's not really about quickly just making the perfect wedge swing. I even wasn't hitting all of these perfect, but mainly just about trying to get this new thought and swing pattern kind of dialed in. And as you'll see, we'll do this for the rest of the clubs. And as we move on to the next section of our checklist, we're going to do some dedicated wedge distances. So we're just going to work with our lob wedge and our sand wedge, practicing 3/4 and full swings. Not doing the slow rehearsals or anything like that, just kind of doing our normal pre-shot routine. And as you see, I actually have a launch monitor down there. It's the Stack radar that came with the Stack system. Highly recommend getting some sort of cheap launch monitor if you really want to dial in your wedge control. You'll see that I'm basically just going through each wedge, keeping track of the distances for them. I actually write these distances down in a Wedge Matrix, which is basically a chart that gives me different shots and distances. That way I'm not kind of guessing out there, but more on that in a future video. And then that was the majority of our practice, and this was about a little over an hour. The next thing I like to do is play a little game in my head that sort of simulates real golf. And I do this by playing a game called 400, where you basically hit a drive, look at your launch monitor and see how far it went. Say it went 275 yards. And if you were playing a 400 yard hole, you would theoretically have 125 yards into that hole. So use your Wedge Matrix or whatever shot will get you to that distance. And then basically you're trying to get within 5, 3, whatever the number is, yards of that distance, trying to dial in that distance control. The last thing I do is leave 10 or so balls just to hit drivers with, and then I leave a few balls at the end to hit my favorite club. Driver wasn't feeling so good today, so I want to get in some solid drives. That way I can leave the range feeling good about it. It's kind of like the basketball concept of leaving on a make. And I doubled down on this by leaving 2 or 3 balls at the end just to hit my favorite club. So that's my gap wedge, just hitting some nice stock yardages. All right, and that's basically gonna do it for the session, guys. So you see, nothing too crazy. Took about a little bit over 60 minutes to complete the whole session. And the main key that I like to focus on for each particular driving range session is to hit a majority of your balls in one certain area of your game. So I really wanted to focus on my wedges in particular. So in a bucket of 70 balls, I probably hit 40 or 50 just doing that. I like to touch my tee clubs too, just because of how much you utilize them every round of golf. But instead of trying to hit every area of your bag equally, I would choose a sort of main focus and kind of structure your routine around that. So go ahead and tap the like if you enjoyed the video and subscribe if you want to follow the journey, guys, and I'll see you next time.